Warning, you are about to witness one-player dumpster every ship on the enemy team. It may cause feelings of joy and euphoria, so much so that it may affect you physically. Enjoy.
All right, what's going on, everyone? Happy Saturday. How are you guys doing? Hope everyone's well. No, it's been a little bit since I've posted a YouTube video, but got an absolute banger, as the kids would say here today. So a very, very, very awesome game here in the Kronshtadt today, and what is going to be the fourth highest experience game in the Kronshtadt ever. However, this game is not arms race, so potentially maybe the highest experience game in the Kronshtadt that is not arms race ever. So awesome game here, and a couple of things that are going to happen that have only happened like 7 times in my 41,000 games played. And the big key here and takeaway from this game that I want to point out and show to you, besides the fact that it's an awesome game, is going to be you know, game impact and map awareness and how best to impact a game. Things to talk about from the Kronshtadt. Again, I've featured it before on my channel. Still good in 2026 in my opinion, and I'll show you guys that here in a moment. At the moment here, by the way, I'm divved with Foxy Latina and Mr. Body Count. This happened on my stream last night, and had a blast with both of them last night on my stream for the duration of the evening. But yeah, the Kronshtadt, very, very good guns. Pretty good concealment, being that it's 12/7 concealment, and it gets a 12-kilometer radar, so almost capable of stealth radaring for what's a battle cruiser, essentially. Kronshtadt, so much better than the Fort Worth, and that's the whole reason why I played this. I had a game in the Fort Worth yesterday where I said any game, any Tier 9 cruiser I could have replicated that in and probably potentially done better. So I said, screw it, I'm going to run the Kronshtadt because, in my opinion, better than the Fort Worth. Throwing that out there. I'll show you why here in a moment. But anywho, really good armor on the Kronshtadt for a Tier 9 cruiser. By the way, I'm spotted here, so we're going to go ahead and hit that radar technology because, yeah, Ipiranga shows up, by the way, and there's the El Catarsens. So looking for shots into the El Catarsens here. Couple things here from the Kronshtadt guns. 305s, it is technically a battle cruiser. Really, really good armor layout. Some of the things that are not good about the Kronshtadt, turret traverse is pretty dog for a cruiser, as well as it's not the most maneuverable, and it's not the quickest, especially considering today's meta. So those two things to keep in mind. But the AP slaps on it. Absolutely smashes. As this poor Ipiranga is about to find out. Looking for shots here, and Foxy being a good team player, giving myself and Body some smoke so that I can make this turn out. At the moment too, and this is unfortunate here, we tell Foxy, hey, I think you can get that cap because hopefully that El Catarsens has buggered off now, knowing that we're going to be aggressive on him. So that's kind of the thought process here, and get some citadels into the Ipiranga, some good damage there, 13k worth of damage practically. That's kind of the thought process. Unfortunately, with my positioning and where body count is, and the fact that I just shoot as the Catarsens get spotted, I'm not able to get shots in to help Foxy here, who gets kind of chunked from the El Catarsens and the Ipiranga secondaries there, which is really, really unfortunate because she did a good job, you know, providing us with smoke and being a good team player like she always does. But yeah, I'm just not going to be able to get around and shoot that before Foxy unfortunately goes out. But there is a chance where, you know, hopefully we can finish the Ipiranga, who is also mean to Foxy with its dirty secondaries. In the meantime, though, this El Catarsens is now a bit out of position due to the fact that there's a Kitakazi that's going to work them over. And the Kita, bless his soul, is going to be avoiding, you know, the Shimakaze while working over this Kita. So really, really good job here. Now trying to get some retribution here for Foxy, being that, you know, we kind of put her in a bad spot there and should have just waited the extra minute till I had my radar up, honestly, before we told her to go in that. But she's a good team player and was willing to take that. I do get some hits there. So the kind of downfall on the Kronshtadt is that it gets battleship dispersion, basically. It is a battle cruiser, so you saw the dispersion being a little bit wonk. It does get really, really nice flat trajectories, and the velocity, as mentioned before, is very, very good on the Kronshtadt, which is awesome. and something to keep in mind there. Talking point and teaching moment here in this game. Again, just map awareness. Counting the ships, there's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with the Yugumo, 6, 7, 8, and then the Shimas here. At least 8 ships that we know of remaining that are F-line plus that way. And we're losing Bravo Cap. We've lost Alpha. And these guys are not in the greatest position to do anything about that. And they just have a sub left now that the DD over there also died. So I need to make a play here. I need to make a push into Charlie. I have HE loaded here. And honestly, that was for the Shima. But I probably should have just stayed with AP. And you'll see that here in a moment. But yeah, we're going to push into the cap here. Trying to keep that island between myself and where that Shima could be. And a couple of things to keep in mind is where I'm positioned around the island and stuff like that. And I'll point this out because that's going to, if I get spotted, give me the awareness of where the DDs are. Always keep in mind where islands are and where things are potentially last spotted. Again, that's important for knowing potential lineups. Like, works similar to like RDF. It's like having RDF built in your head when you do that. And I'll show that here too for a moment. So it was plain spotted, but for a moment there, we were just like hard spotted. So that gives me an idea, because I was hard spotted for a second before we were plain spotted, that the Shim is moving this way because I'm no longer spotted. So didn't go that way. So we pushed down this way because now I'm plain spotted. So something to keep in mind in regards to that. Again, there's that switch. I probably could have potentially Citadel that St. Louis had I had AP loaded, but it is what it is. So that brief moment where we were hard spotted gives us an idea that the Shima is to my left. To the left, to anywho. So a little Destiny's Child reference there because I'm old. And that's fine. And now we're going to hit the radar, and look what we found. A wild Shimakaze. Aw, what a cute little bugger. And we're going to shoot him there. With the HE, body count's also going to have his secondaries going off and work over the Shima a bit. I should be able to get my front guns here into the Shima too. And now, as the Lexington just absolutely hates us for whatever reason, which is fine, I'm going to make another push into Bravo. Things to keep in mind here, again, watch my positioning, so I know where about the Shima is. So I need to turn out. I don't want to stay in a way where if the Shima torps up at me, that I'm going to eat broadside torps. So I'm making like a loopy turn here, but I need to get into Bravo. So I'm pushing into Bravo. Gonna look at this Leon for a brief moment, but there's going to be, and I'm looking for shots there, and then I see the Soyuz is pushing. So I look for shots on the Soyuz, because that's a bit more of an immediate threat, and he's not looking at me. So we shoot the Soyuz. There was a brief moment where I could get over that island. I can make the argument that I should have held that. Whatever. It is what it is. There's, again, teaching moments here for myself. Even though this ends up being a really, really good game, always looking for ways that you can make yourself better. Sometimes, you know, watching your replays through and going, hey, how could I have done this differently or better? Could have happened right now. When I saw these planes and knowing what I need to do, I know what I need to do here. I know I need to turn back. Look at all these ships here. And Leon, Burgon, North Cal, and St. Louis. I know I need to get to right about here, right? And the reason why is because if I stay out here, Shima's just going to keep me spotted with the CV. All these guys are going to be able to shoot me. If I push to here with how this island works, well, two things could happen. I could just stop shooting my guns and maybe not be spotted. But even if they have, you know, if I am spotted, that's going to be hard, you know, shots potentially for these guys. All but the North Cal. The North Cal's got kind of a little bit more lobbier shells than, you know, the 3 other ships over there. So I need to push over there, you know, to mitigate potential damage. So I should have just turned quicker in. There would have been a chance for me to miss these torpedoes. If you look on how the spread goes, I could have either potentially, you know, walked it in on the left or the right then. But I just, again, a downfall of the Kronshtadt, one of the downfalls, it's not the most maneuverable. But if I would have made the turn quicker, I could have avoided that. Slight nitpicking there for myself, because I knew I had to do it anyways. It is what it is. Something to keep in mind. And then just where I am. So if I push there, I can block line of sight on the Soyuz, pick up the cap. But if you're going to see here in a moment, this Shima gets spotted and he'll be down here. I should have line, and I gotta dodge these Peds, so it kind of messes with my angle. And the Shima spotted, and I'm spotted back there. So I hit the radar, and there's a wild Yugumo. So cool. We're going to shoot the Yugumo while we're picking up this cap. The Soyuz and the North Cal aren't shooting me. The Leon's not shooting me, even though I'm spotted. And we're going to get some shots here into the North Cal, which, and by the way, Body's going back because Body wants to loop up and attack from the top then with me. So he's also here to work over the North Cal. Or not the North Cal, the Yugumo. This is another misplay by myself. My guns aren't loaded, and I was never going to get my shells over that island before that man went dark with how my radar worked. So I should not be backing up here. And I eat a torpedo that I know was coming. As you can see, I was already moving forward. I just thought about it too late. I got a little bit greedy there, and that is what it is. So gonna move up, and I want to push straight into Alpha here. This is an opportunity for me with, there still being Ohio and a Champagne alive up north and the Kremlin pincering. And by the way, the Yugumo gets spotted here, so I don't know if the Yugumo shot or whatever, or why he did. And by the way, Body Count had mentioned even before this Yugumo got shot that he got some good blind rounds into him. So this Yugumo is kind of SOL now. Not sure why he did that. I get spotted here. So looking at where the Shima was last spotted, I'm thinking that it's going to be the Shima. Body Count picks up the kill on the Yugumo, which is huge. Because, the Yugumo could have killed Body, gone into the sea, and then, torped these guys from behind, or whatever the case might have been. But if that Yugumo would have gone in sea, it was going to not be a good game. So that means that I no longer can push into Alpha from here, thinking that the Shimikaze's, here. I can't do that. So I'm going to make a turn out here to try to mitigate damage from what I believe is the Shimikaze. However, it is not the Shimikaze, and a wild archerfish is going to appear. Because everyone loves submarines, and they're so much fun, and they're great for the game and everything like that. So yeah, wild archerfish appears. My turrets are too slow to get over, so as I'm turning my turrets around, I'm going to try to get depth charges over here. And of course, I don't necessarily leave my depth charges that great because archerfish does 1 million miles an hour on top of the water. Not necessarily the greatest shots there. There goes my Confederate. We still get a flood there on the archerfish, somehow a direct hit. It's like not even registering that those were direct hits because, speedboat, submarine. Anywho, it's not even the fastest sub. That's just, for whatever reason, it's, chugging along at 1 million miles an hour. That didn't look well aimed, but we hit all 6 of those guns on that guy. So whatever, I'll take that. Even though that didn't look too well aimed. Unfortunately, he does get a Wami, and now I have to make the Austin Powers wide turn here and go around, and I'm waiting for body count here. If we're looking on the map here too, now that Ohio is dead, this Champagne continues to push in for reasons. Let's think about how brilliant this is. There is a Leon, a Burgon, and a Soyuz on his side, and he's pushing in a tier 8. Pretty good. Anywho, and we still know that there's a wild Shimikaze here that is going to have free reign on these individuals, which is not ideal. So I'm going to kind of slow up and wait for body count. And him and I have talked that we need to make a push in Alpha. In the words of John Cena, my time is now. Anywho, and that's what we're kind of going to be. I'm kind of going to slow up here. I need to turn slowly anyways. But body count's in a fast battleship. And of course the Champagne goes down because he was in like a 4v1. Anywho, so you can see I throttled down there for a second to wait up for body count here. And now we're going to speed up and go into Alpha here. A couple misplays here by myself. Again, as I was on the stream and, discussing what to do in this situation, as we're still down by close to 100 points here, even though we have 2 caps. I could have aimed these blind shots a little bit better, knowing that the Colombo was turning up. Not that, that's guaranteed, but those were poorly aimed blind shots by myself, as well as a situation that's about to happen here. If you know on my stream, I love the Burgon, and I play the Burgon a lot. I'm looking at the map and where the Burgon was last spotted, and I grossly underestimate the speed of the Burgon to get back, which is something that I should not do. So again, another misplay by me from a tactical standpoint, and I'm going to pay for it here in a moment, which is not ideal. Not too good there, guy. Um, in fact, I'm looking for this Soyuz, and if you look at my position and my angling, I'm thinking that this Soyuz is going to turn around and come back this way. So I'm kind of angling, thinking that that's what's going to happen. In fact, the Soyuz does get spotted. In fact, I'm looking for like some blind shots here, but however, I shoot because I'm not prepared for this Burgon. But the Burgon's prepared for us. I'm now not angled, so right away I'm already going in reverse. Burgon dumpsters me there, which is really unfortunate for myself. But we're going to reverse, and teachable moment here, and coming up again is AP versus HE, and knowing where to shoot and how to shoot. And we'll talk about this here. I'll try to speed this up. But if we look at where I'm aiming here, right? So I was adjusting for the Burgon's speed in his turn. So I know I can dumpster his bow with these 305s. I know I can do that. So what I'm doing here, for those of you guys that aren't really aware, I'm not necessarily aiming fully waterline because he's not fully flat, but I do have really, really good velocity on these guns. So I'm kind of trying to just aim at a manner where I'm going to hit, you know, the bow of his boat, being that he's on that angle. And you can see the results there. You know, 12.4K from a cruiser through the bow of a battleship is nothing to slouch at. And now that I'm reversing and angling, he only does 6.1 to me in return. So a little teachable moment there, as well as right here. I'm trying to, and I will be able to do it on the Leon later, I'm trying to break the guns on the Burgon to help out body count here with that situation. He's going to get some more rounds here into the Burgon right before I go into my aiming here. There you go. Takes him to 6K. I aim in the same spot in the same manner there in the Burgon, and we do 7.7 to him, and we take him out. This Leon again. So talking about, you know, situations here. I get why the Leon's shooting HE at me. Most Leon players will. If he would have been shooting AP at me and knew where to aim, as well as there's going to be in North Carolina shooting me. By the way, there you go. I do take out the front guns on the Leon, and he burns his damage con, because you can see now his turrets are moving. So he burnt his damage con for that, so he could have his guns. So any fires on Leon are going to be permanent. If that Leon had been shooting AP at me as well as this North Carolina, and this was kind of poorly aimed by myself, I should have aimed more farther forward, even though we do 8.1K to the North Cal. If I would have aimed to hit underneath the number 2 turret, I might have been able to Citadel the North Cal at that angle. Body count gets a great shot into the Leon, picks up a fire there as well. And now this is just... yeah. Dream. And we take out the Leon. And if you look there for a moment, there's 3 ships there left. But however, before body count got taken out, and before I took out that Leon got taken out after body count, that means I was in a 4v1. So we are in contention for a solo warrior. Even though it's a bit cheeky of a solo warrior. And still a solo warrior. And with some very, very healthy ships compared to my, you know, lowly tier 9 cruiser. Absolutely smashing and dumpstering the bow here of this North Cal. Again, I'm kind of petrified because I'm not angled at well, and then get happily surprised by him shooting HE at me. Again, keep in mind the HE salvos from both this North Cal, and there's my High Cal, and the Leon, here in a moment, as we pick up the Kraken Unleashed there, and close to 200K. Why? Because there's a nasty Soyuz. So yeah, if we think about even the North Cal, if the North Cal would have aimed right with AP, it might even high roll into superstructure. But if you aren't aware, the Kronstadt's got this goofy little, and you can almost see it here on the bow with the armor plating, but it's got this goofy like armor layout around its citadel. If he knew how to aim with his 406s, given initially I wasn't really like angled properly, when I first started turning, he could have citadeled me there if he knew how to do that or was aware. Or even honestly, if both of them just shoot AP at me with how low I'm going to get here in this engagement with the Soyuz, I might have died. So again, heads up to battleship players, you know, brawling HE is not the way to go. I know it takes a little bit longer. and sometimes it might not always be consistent damage that you want, but it's important to learn so that you can make those situations consistent. There's my 6th kill. The shim is over there. We're up on points. My radar is going. I'm not spotting him. And actually, body count mentions to myself, dude, slow down, slow down, slow down. I'm like, oh crap, yeah, I guess I can get this cap. So we're gonna add another solo cap here. Huge, huge monster game in the Kronshtadt. One I'm very, very happy about. Um, and talking about battle impact, think about where we started on this map. We started here, came down through here, came here, was all the way over here at one point, like right around here, and then came back through here, went there, came down here for a moment, went back here, then came back up here, then went through here, then went up to here, then went here, then came back to here, then came down here, then backed up, then came around that way, then came up here, like, and now we're gonna exit. A thing that I see new players do, and I think I was guilty of it myself when I was first learning. This is all academic. We win this game now, but the initial feeling of, hey, I went to this spot once in a game and I had a really, really awesome game. I'm going to go there again. The next level to take is to know where those spots are so you can utilize them again. But then on top of that is learning how the flow of the game's going and where you can put yourself in positions to win for your team. Again, here you got to see me looking and keeping cognizant of line of sight in this game, knowing what my armor layout was so that I could stay armored or angled towards ships to mitigate damage. Minus that Burgon, that was a misplay by me, and minus the Yugumo peds and the CV peds. I knew better in all three of those situations, and the Burgon I should have known better. Or even situations where I'm seeing my hard light indicator come up for a moment and then thinking about where I'm getting spotted from potentially, or where a ship would have to be to do that, so that I can utilize my radar to give my team a heads up on that. So beyond that, because 202k damage in a Kronshtadt is solid, but it's not like, oh my god, it's 202k. Just the battle impact, and we'll go over that more here again in a moment. But 6 kills, 5 citadels, because AP Kronshtadt Smash. 3 caps essentially, 2 solo, 1 assisted, plane shot down, flooding, fires from the secondaries here. Generally offensive. Got a SoloWarrior. I believe that's only my 7th SoloWarrior in 41,000 games, so we'll take that. A Confederate. Again, always I feel the mark that you've had a really, really solid game is when you're picking up Confederates. Strike team, shoulder to shoulder, close quarters expert, dreadnought and a cruiser, Kraken, coordinated attack, and a high caliber. And that nets us, drum roll, please, in your heads or something. That nets us a whopping 3.768 base experience, almost 3.8k base XP. In a tier 9 and a tier 10 game. Kronshtadt still got it in 2026. Let's go. But yeah, that's almost 1,500 base experience more than the second player on my team, which is a tier 10 sub, which gets a base XP multiplier. This was an absolutely huge game from a standpoint of base XP, battle impact. Again, the number 4 highest experience game in the Kronshtadt ever, and potentially, one of the highest Kronshtadt games ever if you consider it's not arms race. The other thing to keep in mind here is, again, talking battle impact. Utilizing my armor properly. 1. Almost 5 million potential in a cruiser. 36k spotting, utilizing my radar. But then looking at all the work that we did on all the boats. Touched all the boats. And even, we didn't shoot the CV, but we even still had impact killing 6 of the planes there. So just an awesome game. Kronshtadt still got it in 2026. SoloWarrior game. Hope you guys appreciated that. Hope that helped you guys out. Gave you guys a little bit of a more detailed breakdown of certain things that I'm doing in my games that help me out. Hopefully it helps you out. Hopefully if you have questions or anything like that, come visit me on the stream. Shoot me a comment in the comment section. I'll reply to it. Hope you guys all have a wonderful rest of your weekend. I'll be live streaming here again later on tonight. Hope to catch you then. Stop by, say hi, and have a great weekend.